Welcome to Sprinkle with Hope podcast with your host, Jason. And we have an awesome guest with us today, Laura Brandao. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining our show. And I'll just kind of introduce you just a little bit with your biography. But it says, my passion and purpose in life is to inspire, which I love, encourage and empower people to rise up to be their best selves so that they can live their greatest lives. The biggest lesson that I have learned, say yes every day, which is so cool. We're going to talk about that. Her career began when she took a part-time job as a young mom. Within 6 months, I was managing the call center, generating thousands of leads nightly for local mortgage companies. In 2007, as the U.S. was spiraling in crisis, I was building a new mortgage company that grew to become a national lender in specialized loans. I am now the first woman president and the only woman partner of American Financial Resources Incorporated, which is super cool. Stepping out from behind my desk to become the face and voice for AFR was a pivotal moment in my life because I realized that by saying yes every day to things that scared me, I create ripples of positivity that have allowed me to experience more life and feel more alive than I have ever dreamed. And I love that last statement because I agree with you. I think that even those things that we may be afraid to do, we should do those things because that's what's going to get us out of this.
That's what makes us come alive. When
Absolutely.
we do the same things over and over again, we go on autopilot and it doesn't light up our brains. It doesn't light up our energy. And so by doing things outside of our comfort zone, it makes us feel alive.
Yeah. So Laura, was there sort of your aha moment that you had that you want to share, or has this just been a natural progression that you've always thought this is?
No, it's fascinating because as Jason just read, and thank you, Jason, for reading that. As Jason said, when you're in your 20s, right, you're on this career trek, right? So here I am, I'm like on a mission that I'm going to conquer the mortgage business. And it was head down, focused, climbing a corporate ladder, right? And I did that and I was successful. Congratulations, I did that. But what I did not do is I was not out networking. I was not out meeting other people in my industry because I was so laser focused, which I'm not complaining about that. That's great. I did it. But in 2018, there was something in my industry called margin compression. And what that means is that all of a sudden, the bonds were not worth as much. And so although I was doing volume, I was making a lot less on every single loan that we did. Well, here I am. I'm Mama Bear. I'm responsible for all these hundreds of people that work for me. And I have to figure out, well, heck, how do I double my volume and be able to do more loans? Well, I got a phone call from a promoter of a conference. And he's like, hey, would you like to come and speak at a conference? And I'm like, oh, heck no. I'm like, I run the company. I don't go on stages. I don't do any of that. But there's margin compression. And I need to figure out how to double my volume, right?
Yeah.
So I say yes. That was my first yes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And about 2 weeks before the conference, I'm like sweating. I've got anxiety. I am like having a heart attack, right? So I call one of my top sales guys and I'm like, hey, I've got this opportunity to speak in California. Would you like to go and do it? He's like, of course, Laura, I'm happy to do it. Well, about 2 days later, I got a phone call again from that promoter. And he said, did I hear that you're trying to get out of doing that speaking event? And I'm like, but he'll be great. I'm like, he's wonderful, right? So here I am, I'm selling him. This is going to be awesome. And he said no to me. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, I'm going to give you a secret. When you rise to a certain level, not a lot of people say no. Lots of people agree with you. Lots of people tell you your ideas are great. Lots of people just say yes to you. But this person said no. And something clicked in my mind. And I said, maybe this guy sees something. Maybe this guy sees something in me that I'm supposed to go up on that stage. And so I went up on the stage. And then the second aha moment happened. I get up on stage and I'm up there. And also to explain to you guys, which is probably obvious, but I'll explain it because you're not from the mortgage industry. The mortgage industry is very male dominated. There are not a lot of women executives. There's a lot of women working in the industry, but not at a corporate executive level. So when I got up there and I took the stage, I had a row of women waiting to speak to me after I got off. And those women said, Laura, we finally see someone that looks like us. And in that moment, I thought to myself, if I let fear get the better of me, that moment would not have ever happened.
Amen.
And I refuse to allow that to ever happen again. And so it just happened that I said, that's it. What if it's not just speaking on a stage? What if it's other things? Maybe I'm going to completely get out of my comfort zone and every day look at it as an opportunity to say yes to life, say yes to new relationships, say yes to opportunities. And it has been the most wild ride of my entire life.
I love it because I totally think that it's true. I agree with you that when we say yes to even those things we're afraid of, it kind of springboards us forward in life or in whatever that goal is that you're trying to achieve. And then you gain more positivity because you're around those people that continually say yes or are positive people. So what would you say
100%.
about positivity? And, I'd love to talk about that a little bit because Shane and I, we love positivity and we try to push as much positivity out there in the world as we can. So what would you say on positivity and saying yes? Like how do those
it's interesting. I've always lived my life with the glass is half full instead of half empty. That's always been my mindset. And I also believe no one can limit you but yourself. I mean, I literally throw the most audacious things out to the world of saying, I'm going to whatever that is. And it's like magic that it happens because I know that by focusing in on whatever that is and always looking at everything from a positive light, there's a study where that expression about the rose-colored glasses, how you look at the world and how you approach things really does affect the outcome of whether it's negative or positive. So there is really no other way to look at life than from a positive standpoint, because you are controlling what ultimately is going to be the effect of that.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful advice. I was thinking as you were telling the story of you getting on stage and later all these women were lined up to talk to you. Often when we say no, you might not even know the impact that you have on the people. So when you say yes, see all the people that you're impacting. So sometimes it's not just about us, it's about pushing through that fear, like you said, and really putting ourselves out there, not just for us, but for others.
Shane, that's a great thing to think about. I honestly think it has nothing to do with us. I honestly think that one of the things that holds us back is our own ego and thinking about ourselves. The second you stop thinking about yourself and you only focus on others, you benefit. My whole life has been that. I mean, you told the story of I was a young mom, right?
Yeah.
So here I am. I'm a young mom. I literally had my first child at 19. Okay. So I was a young mom. Okay. So here, me and my husband were like, well, we can't afford daycare. You go to work during the day. I'll stay home. I need to do something in the evening, right? I mean, what am I going to do? And so that's how I got into working the phone. I worked at night. I had to work at night, right? But listen, I didn't have a choice. We have a baby. The two of us are trying to figure life out, right? We didn't have an option. Well, as time went on, my career started always that way. It was about taking care of the families I was serving. It was about taking care of the employees that I had to be responsible for. It was always about others. And the minute you focus on the other people, obviously I am truly blessed. I am absolutely 100% blessed 10 times over in everything in my life. And I've never once thought about me.
Right.
It's always about someone else.
Yeah. And I love that. And, going back to you getting on stage, I think sometimes people think that those that are up on stage are, don't have any fear, right? And that, everything's just going grand and they are just so excited, but that's not always the case, right? There is always kind of a little bit of fear, even, if you've been up there 100 times, right? And so, that fear that kind of cripples in and tends to say, well, I would be afraid to get up on stage. Well, everybody is, right?
Pretty much, right? Because you don't know what the effect the audience is going to have on you, right? Now, of course, I've grown to love it. Now I speak constantly. I mean, literally, it's so funny. September 15th, I start a 1-month tour of the United States where I'm literally all over the country speaking.
Wow.
So it's awesome. Funny that my entire life from 2018 that I was afraid to now I'm a keynote speaker all over the country. But you have to, the fear that you have is the unknown, right? So I'm going to tell you how to get over the fear. Okay. Yes. It goes back. All right. Right.
Yes.
So it goes back to hoping to help other people. See, I'm going to tell you a secret of what I did that very first time. Okay. Because I'm a problem solver. I'm an entrepreneur. I always have to think of how to solve the problem. So here I am. I'm going up at 2:00. Do you know who Eric Thomas is? You know, that really big motive. That's who I was going up after. That was, come on.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who I was following. Wow. Okay. So at first I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Like I couldn't get like a boring mortgage person, Eric Thomas in front of me. All right, but wait, it worked to my advantage. Okay, so I'm going up at 2:00 after Eric Thomas. Well, of course, after 2:00 is after lunchtime. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, I know what I'm going to do. During lunch, I walked around and I went up to strangers, just strangers. And I'm like, for example, Jason and Shane are sitting at a table. And I'm like, hi, I'm Laura Brandao. And, you guys are like, hey, I'm Jason, I'm Shane. And I'm like, guys, I need a favor. And people are like, okay, what? And I'm like, I'm getting up on stage at 2:00 for the very first time. Can you help me with something? And the people were like, sure. How can I help you, Laura? I'm like, can you sit in the front row so that way I can look at you? And I know you. I know Jason and Shane now, right? You guys know me.
Yeah.
I said, so can I just look at you? And then that way I won't be nervous about anyone else in the audience. They all said yes. I filled the entire front row with people I personally met. And you guys were now connected to me. Like you wanted to see me be successful, right? Because we were connected.
Yeah.
And they all sat in the front row with big smiles on their faces, waiting to hear what I was going to say. And that is the secret of how you control your situation when you're getting up to do something scary.
That's great advice. I think the fear, it's not only just getting on stage. I mean, that's what we're specifically talking about, but fear can be in anything. And I think what you're saying can apply for any of that fear that we feel. We still have it inside. It's just that we just push through that. So, so you're traveling now the world, or I guess
United
States, maybe eventually the world. But so what do you talk about when you're on stage? You talk just strictly about mortgage and real estate and those things?
I honestly hardly ever speak about mortgages. It's funny because anybody in my industry can speak about the logistics of the mortgage industry. There's not a lot of new in the mortgage industry, right? I mean, how many times can you speak about, mortgages? But most of the people, they want my energy, to be quite honest. they want, people call me contagious. They say in a good way, not
Right,
nowadays
right.
using
Yeah.
that word. That could
I
be a
love it.
negative. They use it in a way of they feel very positive and they
Yeah.
feel very energized, because by watching me, I mainly speak about living in the moment, about how to make it so every single day, something you do will be forever etched into your mind and your memory to have a positive effect. So that's one of my topics. And then, of course, say yes every day. I teach people on how to live your life, on how to say yes every day. And also, it's how to build your brand and your marketing. That's another thing that I am literally the most influential and powerful woman in the mortgage industry. That's
Mm.
pretty impressive. And
Yeah.
I only started on social in 18 after I spoke. I was a ghost before that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you're ever in Utah, Jason and I will sit on the front row because
Totally.
we've connected with you.
That's right.
Totally. Shane and I, we always love to, ask, why do you do these things? And you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but why do you go around and speak, and what is your why?
Yeah. Yes. And it's interesting because I think your why changes in different seasons of your life, right? Like I said, originally my why was all tied to, having a successful family and business, right? And I'm past that season of my life. My kids are grown, they're successful, they're out of the house, all that's great. So now here I am, a veteran of the mortgage industry, that I absolutely love my industry. The honor and impact that we have on people's lives is monumental. It's wonderful. But going back to that line of women that waited to speak to me, it did not hit me until that day how many women are not going after the jobs they want, the gaining the confidence in themselves to go after dreams that they never even thought they could achieve. So in 2018, I started building women's groups. And I now am the chair of multiple women's groups within my industry. But over the last couple of years, I've watched women emerge into positions that they would have never thought of doing, all because we support each other to realize we can do whatever is set before us. Now, this is not a knock on the guys. The guys are doing just great, and I'm happy to support them too, of course. Yeah. But I've realized the opportunity of these women. So my why at the moment is I am forever going to change the mortgage industry by getting more women leaders into executive roles. And my ultimate goal, which is like a 10-year goal, is I'm going to start a university program that is going to bring in women leaders and teach them the mortgage industry. Well, they will actually get a degree in mortgage. Wow. To be able to go into high level, like MBA level roles, because this industry is amazing. You can be very successful. You can be a single mom. You can have everything you ever wanted and the flexibility of being able to raise a family and having empathy and guiding families through a difficult process sometimes is great for women. So that is tied into my new why.
I love it. I love this. This discussion's been so awesome. I love your energy, your passion.
I told you. I know I can't use that word contagious nowadays, but you get it.
Positively contagious.
Yeah, there you go.
But just, Jason and I, we love to have fun. We love to interact with guests and just pick their brains and see why do they do the things that they do. And I can sense that you really do it not for you.
No.
You do it for everybody else. And that's so empowering to people, like you said, that we're all there to support each other. And I honestly believe that it's really hard to go through life alone in anything. 100%. And so we have to be there for each other. So I've just very much enjoyed this discussion. It's been fascinating.
I'm actually working on something I'll share with you. So during COVID, early COVID, like March of 2020, everybody goes into lockdown. And of course, my whole industry is now remote, right?
Mhm.
And we weren't all remote before. And so I get an idea. I'm like, you know what? I need to pull people together. So I'm going to start a little show called Survive and Thrive. And the concept was I was going to take 3 people in the mortgage industry, and we were going to speak about how we're transitioning into our new world and
Mhm.
how we're thriving through this. Okay, survive and thrive. Well, I came up with the idea that every week we did it on Thursdays, and every week 3 people would nominate the next week. So
Oh,
I
cool.
never knew who I was meeting. Okay, so after about 5 months, the people started nominating people outside the mortgage industry.
Hmm.
So now I'm like, okay. So I'm meeting people that I have nothing in common. Like they're all different, everything, different ages, different industries, different everything. Okay. But I did this for literally from March of 2020. I think it lasted a year because I finished it in early of 21.
Wow.
Okay. So for 1 year, we did this. Okay. Every Thursday. Well, I got an idea. Someday, hopefully, we will be done with coronavirus,
Right.
and it will be behind us, okay, at some point. And I wanted to memorialize it. So my next project of something I'm working on right now, I took 14 people from this event,
Mhm.
only one in the mortgage industry, or the other 13 are not. And I wrote a book, and I gave each person an ability to write 1 chapter.
Oh,
I paid for
Mm.
it. I did the publishing of it. I literally got them all the support for them to just write it so I could make each and every one of them authors. And
Mm.
now all those people will be published authors. And I bet you, I know I'll make it a bestseller. Don't even doubt it. You know
Yeah.
it will be a bestseller. And we're doing that in October. But it goes back to Shane, what you were saying. I'm doing that for them.
yeah.
It's all because I want those people to know what it's like to write a book, to be part of a collaborative effort, for me to teach them how to market it, to make it a bestseller. And then I hope they write their own.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be the inspiration for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I love your positivity, your energy. I can totally feel it. And Shane and I, we totally believe in that, that energy that you send out, you're going to get back. And so I totally feel it. And so I'm sending my energy back to you. But
I'll take it.
yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I always like to ask is Shane and I, we love humor. And so what is something that's happened in your life that was either funny or maybe slightly embarrassing, but you would like to share with us today?
There is one story that always comes up and I'll relate it to the mortgage industry, right?
Awesome.
And it was quite a while ago. But back in the day, when I first started AFR, which you read 2007. So it was maybe 2008, 2009, we moved into our first office, right? And it was this not fancy, like kind of, it went down. We were like almost in a basement office, right?
Yeah.
And back then you had paper files. Like you
Yeah.
literally, like you had
I
mortgage
remember
files
those
this
days.
high. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like this high. Well, one day there was a really bad rainstorm. It was a Sunday and really, really bad rainstorm. And we walked into the office on Monday and there were files sopping wet.
Oh, goodness.
This high, mortgage files this high. Problem solver. Here I am. Okay.
Right.
I run this place. I'm the owner. And I turn to one of my guys that works for me and I'm like, go to Walmart and buy like 10 hair dryers. And if you've ever seen, just picture in your mind a group of mortgage people with blow dryers, blow drying people's bank statements and pay subs.
So good.
I love it.
Yes. But we got through it.
Yeah.
They dried up and we were okay.
So good.
That's awesome.
A valuable lesson of making sure all of those files are in metal cabinets,
Yeah.
not anywhere
Right.
that the rain can get them.
Great
So-
life lesson.
So good.
That's awesome. Yeah, we
There
love
you
to
go.
laugh. So thanks for sharing that. That's really good. Again, I've loved the discussion. I think you've given some fantastic advice, and so yeah, really appreciate this. Again, if you're ever in Utah, Jason and I will sit on the front row for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I will hold you to that. That Utah's not one. I got a couple of Vegas, but I don't have any Utah at the moment. But I
Okay.
will keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure. Put it on your radar. So near the end of our podcast, one of the things that Shane and I like to do is we like to do what's called the double down dose. And so we kind of coined this phrase. It's been a long time since we started it, but we asked two questions. And I'll start with the first one, and then Shane will finish it up. But our first question is, what would you say about hope, or how would you define hope? Because we love to talk about hope.
I believe that you have to have hope. I believe it's one of the most important things to have. And I think that a lot of people don't realize the importance and the value of having hope. But I think it's something that you can never give up, no matter what is going on, no matter how difficult the news, no matter how difficult the situation is, there's always hope.
Love it. We love this part because, we have fun. We talk about really cool things and learn things. And when it gets to this point, it's very thought provoking and it really, you can see that you thought about that and you're taking your time. And anyway, so we love that. So the second part of the double down dose, again, we love to talk about hope. So we made an acronym of HOPE,
Okay.
HOPE, heart, overcome, passion, and enough, just because it's so important to us. But we've talked about some things that you've done. What would you say is passion? What would you say that?
I'm trying to understand the question. What do you mean by that question?
How would you, when you hear the word passion, what comes to mind? What do you
See,
think?
I live a passionate life. There is never a day that I don't have passion in everything that I do. I believe that there is not one, you guys, you just go back a moment and realize that we had the glory of opening our eyes this morning. This morning, we opened our eyes.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about the fact that I have one more day on this earth. And I am never, I'm going to tell you something, and my mortgage people know this because I say it a lot. I will never give someone one of my days, meaning every single thing that I do in my day has to be something that is positive in the world. I will not give anyone that is not fulfilling either the needs of the world or the needs of them or helping someone. I won't give you my time, because my time is the most precious thing that I have. I can't get more of it. We only have as many as we're deemed to have. We don't know what that number is. So I control what I spend my time on. That's why it's only on positive. Do you think I'm going to spend the day watching the news or being around people that are negative or lift? Absolutely not. Every minute is controlled, either helping someone else or benefiting something in the world. So I am passionate from the moment I open my eyes in the morning until the moment I go to sleep at night, and be thankful for every minute that I had.
That is so awesome. Yes. Amen. I love it, because I think that passion, when we have passion about, what we're moved to do and things like that, we can make the world a better place because we're using that passion. And so that's why we created that acronym. And, our drive in life is to bring more hope, positivity, love, all those things to the world. And so I'm so thankful for this opportunity to talk to you and have you help us bring that positivity to the world. Because I think we're in almost 63 countries now. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Laura, and really sharing your light and love with us. It's been an incredible conversation.
Thank you. Keep shining your light, gentlemen.
We will do. So we like to also ask if our listeners want to contact you. Is there any way that you would like them to reach out to you?
So probably social media is probably the easiest way. I'm very, very, very active on social media, and it's always positive, and it's always things that will be encouraging to everyone. So
Awesome.
look me up. And also my website is my name. So
Okay.
laurabrandao.com. And of course, connect to me on all the different social media platforms. You can connect directly from my website.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for this discussion.
Yes,
My pleasure,
thank you.
gentlemen.
Laura Brandao.